What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil Porto, photographer, videographer, and educator. And if you've been following this channel for any length of time, I want to give you guys a quick apology for the lack of content over the last few weeks. It's not that I'm done or that I don't want to do this, because I do. There's a ton of things that are on my heart that I really want to share with you guys. But over the last few weeks, there have been some things with the family, both good and bad, that we kind of had to work through and get through as a family, as well as the fact that the business has had some things that we've had to navigate through. So a lot of our time has kind of gone into those two things, but there is, that desire for me to create this content for you guys. So please stay tuned, show mercy, show grace, and I promise you that, things will get back to normal very soon. And if this is the first time that you've checked out the channel, thank you. Seriously, I appreciate it. Please go through and watch some of the previous videos as you also wait until I'm able to kind of bounce back and put out some more content, which will be sooner rather than later. But I did want to release this video that I recorded a few weeks back. It was part of the Dream Drift series that I spoke about in my last video with Derek Fossbender. And this one was also kind of different than I had planned it to be. It was supposed to be me going out with an amazing photographer by the name of Suzanne Stein, who's a FUJIFILM creator, and allow her to give me tips and tricks on approaching her up close and personal street photography style. But once again, with the way things are in New York City right now and the massive climate change of everything, we weren't really able to execute what we wanted to do. But instead, what I did was we kind of just followed Suzanne, and I shot from a distance, and I kind of watched her approach so that I can allow myself to see what she does and how she's able to at least try to. But what you'll see in the video is that she's experiencing some things in the city that she normally doesn't, and I think it's important that I still release this video because there are a lot of photographers who are probably going through similar situations, and we need to support what they're going through. We also need to be sensitive to what they're going through when we go through their cities at this time. And so we sat down with Suzanne, had an amazing interview, and though I didn't do exactly what I wanted to with the video, I learned a lot from talking with her. And so I will be doing another video with her once this all passes, because besides being an amazing photographer, she was just a great person to spend time with. She was so sweet and so kind to both Brandon and I, and it was a real honor to be able to kind of just pick her brain. So please watch this video. I hope that it's insightful for you guys as much as it was for me, as you watch her journey currently through the city as a street photographer. And if you have any questions or anything like that, please leave it in the comments. I definitely want to interact more with you guys. You guys have been great at that thus far, and it's probably one of my favorite things about the channel. So I hope that this is beneficial to you. I hope that you enjoy this video. I do apologize. The video was done in the heart of Williamsburg. We wanted to keep the street style, so yeah, you're gonna get a lot of street noise, but I feel like it kind of makes the video that much more special. So enjoy, and until next time, God bless you guys. What's up, everybody? It's me, Phil Porto, photographer, videographer, and educator, and thank you for joining us for today's video. Like I've done previously, I want to make sure that this channel is not just about me trying to teach the world as if I know everything, because I don't. And there's a lot of styles that inspire me that I don't do day to day, and I want to challenge myself to grow as a photographer and pursue those. And so there was actually a photographer whose work I followed for a while, and she was announced as a Fuji creator, and I was like, man, as I'm pursuing this series, I really want to reach out to her and see if she would be part of it. And so I, swung for the fences and hoped to get a reply. And when I told her that one of her photos inspired me, she was like, thank you so much. And I was like, all right, I got a comment back. Now it's time to push for the actual DM. So I sent her a message, asked her if this would be something she would be interested in, and she kindly responded that she would. So for those of you who don't know, this is Suzanne Stein, and she is a beast of a photographer. And one of the things that I really love about your style is the fact that it's a different take on street photography than I see a lot. And one of the things I love about her style is that she tells the whole story. She doesn't just tell the Instagram likable version of a story. She tells the beautiful, she tells the ugly, she tells the hardship, she tells the, you know, the highs and the lows of where she lives, which is here in New York City. And so we've been spending some time together today where I can actually watch what she's doing. And so I love the personal vibe that she's able to give in her style. So I want to talk to you about just your approach and how you got into this style of photography. Like, there's so many variables when it comes to street photography. What made your style your own? Like, what was it about the stories? What was it about the city and telling its story that spoke to you, and how did you come into this?
That's a huge question. It's so hard to answer. I can't really be objective about my style. I've been told recently, well, I always hear that my style's in your face. And as you guys could see from following me around today, that I'm very in your face, like, you know, so, I don't know. I think my style is kind of like an offshoot of who I am. Yeah. You know, it's just, I'm very direct, I'm very upfront. I tend to say too much. You know, I tend to, not filter what comes out of my mouth. So my pictures aren't filtered either. So I think that a lot of photography is a reflection of who you are as a person, and it's a reflection of where you came from and your outlook on life, and how you were formed, how your worldview was formed based on your past. So my images are created the way they are because it's just who I am as a person. My style is just, I get an image in my mind of what I want to do, and I just execute it. I don't really think of it as stylistic, you know. Yeah. But I am a social realist, and I think it's really important to take pictures of what's really happening. So I really work towards crafting an image that is a narrative, whether it's a short narrative that's a few seconds, or it's somebody's story that I can kind of reflect in a portrait. But it's all instinct, you know, it's all coming from my gut. I don't really think it through when I'm in it. Yeah. And then I look back on it later and go, gee, why did you do it this way? I can see now very clearly you should have done it differently. But it's all in the moment. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I love that. And one thing that, like, as someone who doesn't do a lot of street photography, one thing that I saw that was very different is I see a lot of street photographers from a distance, you know, like where you kind of see a subject somewhere in the photo, right, but the subject doesn't really take precedence in the image. And one thing that, like, I won't lie, is intimidating is building up that kind of courage, you know, for someone who's not doing street photography constantly. And when I watched your video with Fuji, you had said something along the lines of, at times you just need to ask permission to intrude. And was that just something that came natural to you, or did it kind of build over time more of a confidence to be able to get that personal?
Well, the confidence, at first when I started taking pictures 5 years ago, I did not have the confidence to approach people. I would stand around and stand around and stand around, desperately trying to get the courage up to ask. And a lot of times I didn't, and I started to do it, and it got easier and easier. And sometimes even now it's not always easy. I have to think about it, especially if the person is on the edge psychologically or psychiatrically. But I look at it this way: I would rather ask and get rejected than not do it, because getting the picture is really important to me. But sometimes you are, well, as a photographer, you're definitely intruding. And now in the city, which I think we're going to talk about, you know, the city, the climate's very different, and people are really noticing those of us with cameras, because there's no tourists. People aren't walking around with cameras. A lot of people are still not really going out. So when they see you with the camera, you're more obvious, you know, and I'm taking pictures of things going on the street. And, you know, I think that there's a lot of factors involved with why people are so confrontational, but sometimes you really do need to ask permission to intrude on a street scene.
Yeah.
Because if I don't ask permission, I'm not going to get the picture. They're going to see me, they're going to get upset, they're going to move. I'm not going to get the picture. So there are some scenes where you don't ask, you just shoot. And I'd say that's 80% of them, 80%. But when the image is basically an environmental portrait of some kind, then I typically will try to ask. There are some situations, like today, I asked permission for a photo that I thought would have been really powerful, and I did not get permission, so I didn't get the picture. I could have stood there and tried to shoot it. They would have seen me. I would have gone through the pictures later and seen animosity, and it just wouldn't even have been a shot.
Yeah.
You know, so in street photography, there's no one way to do it.
Yeah.
There's no one protocol. It is how you want to, it's your art, and I'm very fond of saying that although there are a lot of folks out there that are going to lay down rules for street photography, how you're supposed to do it, what you're supposed to shoot with, what's your focal length, you should shoot only people that don't give you permission, it's all candid. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. You have to be flexible and adaptable because your goal is to tell a story. Your goal is to, for me, my goal is to represent reality. I do it whichever way I have to do it. And for me, I like to interact with people. I can get a very natural picture doing that. And then sometimes you can't. It's fluid. It changes every time.
Yeah. And one thing I like that you said was that photography in general is an intrusive thing. You know, like it is. But what I like about following you today and, you know, seeing how you document things is there's a way to still be intrusive in an art form that is still respectable to people. And I feel like I've seen a lot of street photographers who are so intrusive to the point that their image matters more than the subject or the story that they're trying to tell, that they're going to get that image no matter what it costs somebody else or themselves. And I feel like that can sometimes give a negative light for those who are doing it in a way that understands that it's intrusive, but is still respectable in a point that, like, you could have still taken that image, you know, at the end of the day, when the couple said no, you know, but you respected it and you were like, okay, it's not going to be the beautiful image I wanted anyway, because I approached it and was rejected. But some people would be like, I don't care, I'm an artist, I'm gonna do it.
They're not artists, though.
Yeah.
A lot of those people are ego-driven street photographers who, there's no art to anything they're doing. I mean, the obvious person is Bruce Gilden. Bruce Gilden has a really in-your-face street style when he's shooting flash, and those are great pictures. But Bruce Gilden also shot, and I don't know what he's doing now, but he shot a lot of amazing street shots that were candid, you know, that weren't in-your-face flat. He's associated with that style, but he's actually really gifted at the other kind of street photography too. But a lot of that kind of work is ego-driven. It's, I'm going to get the shot no matter what. It's my right. It's legal. There's no art involved. I shoved my camera in this person's face. I got this shot. What shot? I'm going to forget about this picture, you know, very quickly. So there's no narrative and there's no story. And that kind of ego-driven photography is separate from narrative photography. Narrative doesn't have to be an entire street scene. I get in people's face too sometimes. That there's like this fine line, you know. I'm not just getting in someone's face just to get in their face, so I can have this in-your-face street shot with the flash. Some of that's good. It's fun to look at, but you do it sometimes, but not all the time. It's not everything you do, but it isn't nice, you know. And I can definitely see where you know, you're risking a punch in the face. It happens. Yeah. You know.
And so, with what I do day to day and get paid for, you know, a lot of people will reach out and say, we love how we can tell the connection between you and your client. And what I kind of like look at is, okay, I've actually been paid to take these photos. I've been paid to build this relationship. Like, I don't have to. I enjoy building that relationship, so that helps set my work apart. Right. But they've given me permission to build that relationship, to know them a little more than the opportunities that you get. But following you today, I saw even in a small period of time, you being able to get a sort of relationship with the person that you're taking their photo. And I think that's crazy that something that takes me months to be able to have the confidence to do with a couple or a client, you're able to kind of build that with just a few minutes of showing empathy to the situation. And do you think that showing the empathy and showing that you actually do care about the scenario and not just being an Instagram likable photographer helps break down that barrier between you and some of the people that you're able to capture?
I think that I don't know the answers to those questions. I mean, Instagram, we're all looking for the great shot. You got to bolster your Instagram with the great, cute shot that's fun. But the real deal is telling the stories of what's really happening, even if it's in a cute picture. So I think that people detect sincerity, and you can project sincerity in a few seconds. They detect desire. I really want to take this picture for a specific reason. There are some people where the barriers are so high and so deep and so vast that you're just not going to get through, and you're not going to get the photo. I walked past a lot of photos today that were good, great. Every day I walk past photos that I know, I have an instinct now, I have a sixth sense, I know where I'm not going to be able to shoot. I know that even in approaching someone, I'm risking my safety. But I think when I don't really know how to explain it. People just detect something about your aura and they respond to it. And I'm also detecting something about theirs. So it's probably kind of mutual. Sometimes, especially now, it's really rocky and dangerous to shoot. There's a lot of changes going on in the city, which I think are really important to document. I call it shooting very realistically, as opposed to shooting with everybody's best foot forward. A typical, like a lot of times in Skid Row, you'd see that typical homeless portrait in front of the shelter, a nice portrait, just this portrait, in front of the shelter. That doesn't really show how that person lives when they're on the street. So I'm the person that's going to show how they are on the street. And that can be objectionable for some people, but I definitely think it's critical for me to do that because I really want my photos to serve as some kind of record. If they can be great, cute shots, sometimes that's good too.
Yeah. Yeah, and so let's talk about things and how they are now in the city. Yeah. So I'm originally from the city, and here typically every month for work. And so I've never really been gone from the city for a long period of time until this whole COVID thing happened and, all the protests with, trying to draw awareness to the social justice issues, and came back the other day and instantly noticed and felt a weight that was different. And walking the streets and everyone thinking that I'm taking a photo of them and they're defensive and they're angry. And it just seems like the climate of this city has changed so drastically that even the idea I had for this video had to kind of take a little bit of a turn because of what you've had to kind of change certain ways of approaching your way of shooting. So can you talk about like the changes that you've seen in the city and how you've had to adapt based off of that?
Well, first of all, there's lots fewer people out. There's no tourists, either from the U.S., from abroad. There's a lot fewer people out, so photographers are really standing out now. People are on edge because some of them have been quarantined, some of them are out of work. Bad things are happening. It's very uncertain. Stores are closing. You can't even go to your favorite deli and get the sandwich you used to get because they have 6 things instead of 27 things because they only have 4 people coming in at lunch instead of 3,004. You know what I mean? So I think people are on the attack and they're on the defensive. And then we also have a political situation where it's very divisive and there's a lot of things being said that are, just downright wrong. And then we also have a lot of protesting going on. And we have a lot of racial division going on, which is very sad. So being a street photographer, you're like a canary in the coal mine. You're like this little bird in a cage, and every little gaseous draft of poisonous air, you know, can knock you off your perch. And that's what I am. You know, I feel like that I'm constantly getting knocked off my perch as a photographer. I'm having to deal with a lot of people's emotions that have nothing to do with me. But people see me shooting pictures on the street, and they can let their own demons affect how they perceive what I'm doing. So as far as there's a lot of anger on the street, you know, I think sometimes people are just looking for a fight. I'm kind of small. We've seen today that I've had people really come up to me and get in my face, whereas you guys, they weren't getting in your face, but they're doing it to me because I'm an easy target, and I think people are frustrated. But on the other hand, I think people see a photographer, you're photographing, in some cases, distress, and they don't want you exploiting someone, especially with the racial situation, which is really what's going on. And honestly, I really understand that. If I was in, you know, the same situation, I might question it too. I wouldn't do it aggressively. Every day I go out, I get threatened physically. I've had people threaten to punch me in the face. I've had people run out of buildings to accuse me that I'm taking their picture while they're in a building behind glass. I've had people just looking for excuses to fight with me, and I really think it's frustration driven. Yeah. And this never used to happen to me to this degree. This is happening, like, I've had 4 major confrontations today, 3 of them in front of the camera. Some people are willing to back off and listen, and other people just really don't want to know what you're doing. They really just, I think that we were talking about how we're all so willing to judge each other based on what we look like and what's on the surface. And in my photography, I'm really trying to dig deeper than that. But I recognize that when I'm on the street, some people are unable to go beyond my surface. Yeah. And so I wish that I had a different surface sometimes, but this is what I got, you know. But what's going on inside me is that it's really critical for me to show what's going on now, because I feel very strongly about social inequity. And I don't care about the color of anybody's skin here. I'm telling stories with my pictures that I think are important. And if people feel the need to question me, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I have no problem with being questioned. I live for it. Especially what I live for is to get a big confrontation going, like we're both really mad, and then I like get through to them and they get what I'm doing, and then I actually make a contact, which happened today. He might be a very good contact, you know. And so sometimes through differences and an adverse reaction, if you stay the course and you really got a lot of conviction in what you do, then you can maybe make a friend. That's happened to me on Skid Row. Yeah.
And I think that's the key to what you're saying, is like, you have to have the conviction to the point that you're willing to have those tough discussions. Right. You know, like, and it's crazy because it's like basically what we're told from like childhood: don't judge a book by its cover. Right. But it's happening everywhere. But we can also do the same in our responses. Like, right, you're judging me, and I don't need to justify myself to you, but we saw you taking your stand and being like, no, this is what I'm trying to do. And like you said, that gentleman going, okay, that's what I needed to hear. I needed to hear that you do care. I needed to hear that you're not just here to exploit, you know. And then you built that relationship. And if someone would have just been so prideful to the point that they never had that conversation with that gentleman, it would have just ended with the tension that didn't need to be there.
Well, the one thing you bring up, exploit. So, okay, a lot of news photographers, you know, like, if something appears in the Post, you can bet that everybody's going to be there the next day. That's different. They're exploiting the situation, then they sell their pictures. They don't care. But I'm still a photographer, and I'm exploiting everybody in my pictures. Everybody exploit. If you're a street photographer or a documentary photographer, no matter how famous you are, or how many awards you got, or how like gilded in gold you are, you know, you are exploiting people when you photograph people and you put them on your website. We're all doing it. no matter how well or how poorly we're doing it, or how many awards we have gotten or haven't gotten, or where it's been published or not, we're still exploited. Basically, you know, I mean, we're all exploiting people, and so whether I have a good reason for doing it or not, I'm still photographing someone that's down and out sometimes, but I'm also in some respects a lot more down and out than a lot of people in my age range, you know, and people in that were, you know, my social whatever. There's something very cute happening behind the camera now. So I think that people judge us too much based on what's on the surface. You have no idea where I'm coming from. You don't know why I'm shooting this picture or why I think this is important. It isn't, but it does look like exploitation, especially, can I say, like the racial thing? I mean, look, you know, I'm white and I'm sometimes shooting pictures of black people or other races, and I shoot all kinds of people. I love people. So I love to shoot everybody, but I can see where somebody, especially in the climate, would be like, what are you doing? And if I was in their situation, I might get mad too. But the trick is to really believe in what you're doing. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what street photography is. They don't know what documentary photography is. They really don't know. And so you can try to explain it and they may not get it. And that goes across the board. Right now we're in Williamsburg. So there's a lot of people that have never seen street and documentary photography because they're living a different life as far as what is in their world culturally. So the people here, we share the same skin color, and I'm half Jewish, but I have a big gulf between me and them too, and I'm the same.
Yeah.
But the gulf is really, it shouldn't be so much superficial, but it is, unfortunately. So we have to learn to give people the chance sometimes to even be really angry and accept the fact that, you know, you're out on the street and it could get ugly, but you're there voluntarily.
Yeah.
I volunteered for this.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love those people too. I just love to shoot everybody, and I'm, you know, I'm willing to put up with and explain myself where I have to.
Yeah. And I think that's key, because like, even as photographers, like, there are things even in our small world of photography that if I'm not shooting street photography day in and day out, I don't know exactly the things that you're going through, you know, right. or, you know, why you're doing a certain thing, which is why I'm educating myself. Right. So as photographers, we kind of have to go into it going, okay, I understand, like, even though I'm mad that they're judging me, I do have to understand that this is a completely foreign thing to them. Right. You know, that I have a camera and that I would document things that they might not understand why I'm documenting them. And like, how we respond back to those people has to come from, yes, I'm defending myself, but I'm also defending it to someone who culturally has no understanding of what I do. And so I gotta, on top of defending myself, I also need to educate them at the same time that, you know, there's a purpose to what I'm doing as well.
Well, that's true, but you're also fighting against some of those other street photographers who do get in people's faces and who also post stuff on, you know, social media that's less than kind, that's just to get some shot of some funny looking person on the beach, you know. We all do a little of that, but you're also fighting against the fact that photographers don't always have a great reputation. Like police officers right now don't have a great reputation. Yeah. There are a lot of great police officers out there that are devastated by what's going on, and they're having to defend themselves even just doing their basic job, you know, because there are some people that are really not doing their job and who are not functioning the way that they need to function. So we all know that. So it's the same with photographers, but I do think that street photographers can be a bit of a punching bag for some people. I've had a lot of situations. I've been assaulted like 3 times. 1 seriously, 2 seriously, 1 I have a permanent injury. So, you know, it's just the way it is now, especially now.
So for me, I want to challenge myself, because it's something that, you know, spending time with you, spending time with Derek Feshbender, you know, street photography is like an art form that I really want to continue to pursue. So what are like some tips on like things that I should really, you know, use caution with, but also make sure that I'm being one of those street photographers that are doing it right, you know, that I'm not giving a bad name to the art of street photography?
It's the first thing that comes to my mind that I despise. I hate, sometimes I shoot from chest height, but I'm obvious, you know, like here. You see me with my camera, and I'll plant myself in a spot, and I'll be shooting. It's very obvious what I'm doing. Sometimes it's up here, sometimes it's down here, sometimes I'm on the ground. It depends on the angle that I want, what I'm trying to create. But what I really hate is when you have these guys walking surreptitiously with their camera, and they're like doing this, and that is, I hate it. Okay, so when you have guys that walk around and they, you know, sometimes you pick up your camera and you do a quick shot, especially if you have a wide angle. Sometimes those are really cool, but you pick it up and you can do that, right? I would say never hide. I know that a lot of people do it. I can't stand it. It's surreptitious, and if you get caught, you're going to get beat bloody. You could. And you know what? When I was had my son and we were sitting in the park one day, he was about 1.5 years, I had some guy creeping behind me. He was a street photographer. He was an older guy. I thought he was a pervert. He was a street photographer, and I flipped out on this guy because he was sneaking around me. If he was standing in front and he was shooting, I would say to myself, well, he's a photographer. I'm either going to sit here and be a part of it, or I'm going to get up and leave. But I think that a lot of street photography protocol is this sneaky shoot from the hip garbage. I don't believe in that. Taking the shot really quick and then running away. I think a good idea also would be to sit back and think about what you're trying to say. Are you just happy to go out and shoot pictures of shadows and stuff? Is that what you want to do? Like right now, there's a guy leaning over there. I'm looking at him. And if the light was different, man, it would be a really nice picture right there. I'm thinking, you know, like give yourself time to think about what is the picture you want to create. Not just walking down the street and randomly shooting people on the sidewalk. It just doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? I think you should sit back and think about what you want to do. There are pictures all around us.
So we were talking about the, you know, shooting from the hip, incognito style, and, you know, which is cool because even walking today, you know, like as someone who doesn't do this very often, like it is tempting to be like, I don't have to bother anybody and I can get the shot that I wanted to get. But what would be some reasons that you would encourage, you know, street photographers to stray away from that little shoot from the hip technique?
Well, first of all, it's a natural instinct to sneak a picture of people you don't know in a situation that you can't predict. So you can't predict whether somebody is going to get mad at you or they're going to say, don't take my picture, and embarrass you for taking a picture. And, you know, a lot of people that shoot street, you know, they could be actually pretty introverted, some of them, you know. I mean, there's a lot of people that take up hobbies. They don't want to interact with other people. They just want to take a cool picture. But, you know, the thing that people don't understand is that instinct to hide is natural instinct, but it doesn't really make what you're doing look very good. It looks like you're a sneak. And if you get caught, you look like a creepy sneak and you're giving me a bad name. So when I go and try to shoot a picture, I'm going to get clanked because some guy snuck a picture somewhere. I don't know. It's up to you. It's up to people what they want to do. I just can't stand that kind of photography. And I've shot with people that do it and I'll never do it again because that just makes me look bad. You know, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. So don't do that. Try not to. And what would be like one more thing that you would, as I go out there and I try to make this part of something that, you know, I really want to give a good name to the art form, like what would be one more thing to possibly implement?
Oh, there's a couple technical things. I always check my settings. I'm always checking my settings because, you know, the light changes. I don't know what kind of street photography you know, what you want to do or what people do, but I think it's a good idea to know where your settings are all the time, because if you see something happening and you want to capture it, you don't want, I go manual except for focus. Like, I'm overexposed if I was shooting across the street. So, no, I wasn't taking your picture. No, I really wasn't. See, this just happened. So I'm just doing an example across the street and somebody thought I was taking their picture. And so anyway, so what I'm trying to say is just to make sure that your exposure settings are correct. So for wherever you are in the shadow or the light, you can react. And the other thing is, I had said earlier to kind of think about what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But also when you go out, just follow your gut. Be super flexible. Adapt to your circumstances. Don't sweat how you look. Look like a jerk. Look like a weirdo. I look like a weirdo. I know I must look bizarre. We didn't see me on the ground today, but I lay on the ground and I'm like laying on the ground, sometimes, and I know that my pants are riding too low in the back. Every now and then I try to prevent that, but what I'm trying to illustrate is not really worrying about how you look and going with your gut. If you want to shoot a picture of red shoes, you might have to say, can I shoot a picture of your shoes? I want to juxtapose it with, the little dog in the background. Yeah. Whatever it is, follow your gut. Shoot what you want. Don't worry about what other people say street photography is. Just because it gets 10,000 likes or 500 likes or however many likes you think legitimizes an image, you have to follow your own gut and what you want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much for being part of it. And if you guys are not following her work right now, please follow it. A link to her Instagram and her website will be in the description of this video. And honestly, just keep in mind that things are weird right now, especially if you're going somewhere for the first time that you've never shot. Respect the photographers that are there week in and week out, dealing with these changes on a constant basis, and take that to heart when you go out there, and also take that to heart in your own city. Know that there's people that are going through some stuff, and you might just have to take one on the chin in order to get done what you want to get done, but also not add to the problems that your city's having. So thank you so much, and until next episode, that was awesome. I'll catch you guys later.